Paul Auster, escritor, guionista y director de cine estadounidense, es una de las figuras más influyentes de la literatura contemporánea. Nace en 1947 en Nueva Jersey. Su madre, luego de dar a luz a su hermana, comienza a sufrir trastornos psicológicos. A partir de entonces inicia lo que él denomina su exilio interior, sintiéndose un extraño en su propia casa. Desde pequeño se interesa por la lectura. Ya en la adolescencia escribe poemas. En 1970 se gradúa en la Universidad de Columbia en lengua y literatura inglesa. Ese año viaja a Francia y trabaja como traductor. Luego de 4 años, se instala en Nueva York. Entre 1980 y 1982 publica diversas obras. Su primera novela, en la que usa el seudónimo Paul Benjamin, no logra tener trascendencia. También publica La invención de la soledad, en la que aparecen los temas del abandono, la miseria y la búsqueda del padre, que serán luego frecuentes en otros títulos de su producción. En 1987 obtiene gran renombre y trascendencia con la publicación de La trilogía de Nueva York, compuesta por 3 novelas de intriga. En 1994 escribe el guión de Cigarros, basado en su propia obra.
Hey, what are you doing there, kid? Cut it out.
Continuará su actividad cinematográfica como guionista y como director. La narrativa de trama laberíntica es característica en su obra y le ha dado un nuevo aire a la novela norteamericana. Sus libros fueron traducidos a varios idiomas. Creía que mi padre era Dios es un libro que nace en la radio. Paul Auster convoca a los oyentes de su programa a enviar relatos personales para ser leídos a lo largo de la emisión. La respuesta es abrumadora. Recibe 4.000 historias. Allí surge la idea de reunirlas en un libro. El resultado es un compendio de 180 relatos sobre la vida estadounidense. A lo largo de su vida ha recibido numerosas distinciones. Fue nombrado Caballero de la Orden de las Artes y las Letras de Francia, obtuvo el Premio Médicis de Literatura Extranjera y el Premio Príncipe de Asturias de las Letras. Actualmente Paul Auster vive en Brooklyn, donde continúa desarrollando su obra, tanto literaria como cinematográfica.
Talking about stories, I once read a beautiful tale of yours. I don't know if it's real or if it's an invention, about a boy that was you, that had a hero, baseball hero.
Oh, yes. No, that's a true story. That's a true story. Yes.
That was Mays, no?
Yes, Willie Mays, famous
Mays.
baseball
So
player.
that's very nice.
Yes, thank you. Well, it's in a little book of mine, The Red Notebook. Yes, which is true stories. And I was only 8 years old, and I happened to meet the great hero of my life, Willie Mays, at a baseball game. And I wanted to get his autograph.
Yes.
And he said, sure, I'll give you my autograph. Do you have a pencil?
Because miraculously you met him.
Yes,
no?
at a
Willie Mays
baseball
was
practice.
there, no, in
That's
front
right.
of you, yes.
Well, I looked, I didn't have a pencil in my pocket, and my father didn't have a pencil. My mother didn't have a pencil. Nobody we were with had a pencil. And he said, well, if you don't have a pencil, sorry, I can't give you my autograph. And of course, I was very upset. I started crying. I was disgusted with myself for crying, but I couldn't help it. And as I tell in the story, after that day, I started carrying a pencil in my pocket wherever I went. And
the writer was born.
well, you know, it's
Thanks
not that you have any great idea about what you're going to use that pencil for, but you know, if there's a pencil in your pocket, maybe someday you will start to use it. And so it's a kind of little parable about how I became a writer.
How a book comes to a writer?
It's for me, a very, very slow process.
Slow process.
Slow. I usually...
You lasted 15 years in your first book.
Some books take 15 years.
15 years.
It's never never short. An idea comes, you start to live with it. It begins to grow. Things accumulate. But I would say it's always years of preparation before I've sat down to write a book.
When you sit down to write, you already have the book in your head.
I think I do, and then I realize I don't. I start writing, and then new ideas come.
Then the characters
new thoughts.
Get free.
Exactly. I've had written books in which important characters weren't even in my head when I began writing the book. So every day it changes. It keeps changing almost right up to the last sentence. It's not mathematics. You know, you don't start with an outline and say, okay, page 1 will be this, page 2 will be this. You have a feeling for the story. You have a sense of the shape, you know, the arc, the beginning, the middle, and the end. But many of the details don't get born until you're actually doing the work itself.
It's not true that the writer chooses the characters choose the writer.
I do believe that's true.
I do believe that.
They just, in my case, they seem to grow up inside me. There they are. I can see them. I know their names. Most of the time, they have a name already. So it's coming out of the unconscious, obviously.
Mr. Bones, for example.
Mr. Bones, yes.
A dog.
A dog. He's a dog, but he's really a character in a book.
He's a very thoughtful dog.
Yeah, he's a very thoughtful dog. But I was, something I mentioned the other day here, but it's a very funny story. One of my novels was published, was about 12 years ago, The Music of Chance.
Music of Chance.
And a film producer called me up. He was very interested in making the book into a movie. So we started talking, and he said, you know, nobody loves this book more than I do. I said, well, okay, I'm happy about that. He said, but there's just one problem. You know, you have these characters, Flower and Stone, and they're so interesting and charming and strange. And then you see them, and then they disappear from the book. I think if we make the movie, we should have them come back. And I said, but I can't do that. We can't do that. Then it's not the story. I can't do that to the characters. And he said, oh, yes, you can. Of course you can. You're the writer. You can do anything you want. You can move them around any way you like. And I said, actually, I can't. They tell me what to do. I can't tell them what to do. And so, of course, he never made the movie.
He didn't love your book. He loved his book.
Exactly.
His version of your book. You had the experience of movies, no? Of making movies.
Yes, to some degree. For me, it was a great adventure. One of the most thrilling things I've done. I would say about 5 years of my life was mostly devoted to film.
To film?
Yes, from around 93 to 98. You know, I've made 3 movies.
Smoke has a great success here.
Smoke did very well. Blue in the Face, which is a kind of offshoot of Smoke. I don't know if it was shown here. And then Lulu on the Bridge, the film I made all by myself.
They dictated by you.
Yes.
You directed. The others, you wrote the script, but you also co-directed.
Co-directed, co-filmmaker. I was very involved
with
Wayne Wang. That's exactly right. I've always loved movies. I've been interested in them from the time I was a young person. There was even a moment when I was about 20 when I thought I wanted to go to film school and learn how to be a director. So it's not something that came out of nowhere, this interest. But as time went on, I settled in as a writer and forgot about films as a career. I had always thought my personality wasn't right. As a young person, I was very shy, had very great trouble talking in front of people, and I thought this is not the personality for a film person. But ironically enough, as I started publishing novels, filmmakers got interested in my work and wanted to collaborate on different projects. There were a number of people who were in touch with me, and then finally Wang and I made these films together, and it's a different way of telling stories. It's maybe not as lasting as books, although great films are just as great as great books. But it's such a human challenge to try to create a film. It's so difficult. There's so many obstacles. And yet, I enjoyed too working with other people for a change. This was happy for me.
Why the film you directed, no, the Lulu on the Bridge, didn't go in theaters in the United States? No? It was in DVD and it was in...
Yes, exactly.
In
it was, well, I think it was a combination of two things. The people who supported the movie, the producers, they were an English company. They were very greedy and stupid, and they wanted enormous amounts of money from American distributors to release the film. And we had offers, which I thought were very good offers, and they kept saying, no, we want more, this is not enough. And then we took the film to the Cannes Film Festival, where I was hoping it would do well, and then somebody would want to distribute it. Well, we were destroyed by the press. It was absolute massacre.
Oh, yeah?
And so after the Cannes Film Festival, nobody really wanted to touch the film. It was, as the producer, my good friend, the producer said, we had become radioactive, dangerous, and no one wanted to touch it. It's one of those misfortunes that come along.
But it was a success in several countries, no?
Yes, it did quite well in some places.
Yes. That's good and bad of movies, no?
Yeah,
it's not a lonely action like literature.
It's business.
It's a lot of people, business,
yes.
So that can be positive, but also negative.
Exactly. I learned a lot. It was a difficult experience for me, going through all this, these disappointments. But at the same time, making the film was a great moment in my life, so I certainly have no regrets about it.
You were born in New York.
Yes.
And you live in Brooklyn.
Yes.
Why Brooklyn?
Originally, I moved out there in 1980.
1980.
1980. I had no money. I couldn't afford to live in Manhattan anymore. So I went across the river, I found a place, and I discovered that I liked it there very much. And I feel that it's a good place to live. And
it's still a good place.
Still a good place.
Still
yes.
a good place.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. Little by little, Brooklyn has become more and more chic. It's extraordinary how it's continued to renovate and improve. My neighborhood now is so expensive that I couldn't buy my house now if I were trying to buy it today. It's too much for me. I'm glad I got there years ago.
Perhaps they are proud of being your neighbor.
Brooklyn, it's like a little village there in the neighborhood. People know each other. It's intimate and quiet, and it's a good place to work.
You had an intense life, no? For example, you're a merchant seaman, no?
Yes, that was 30 years ago, more than 30 years ago.
More than 30 years
as
ago.
A young person. That was a good thing to do also.
Yeah, no?
Yeah.
Then you went to live in Paris.
Yes.
You spent 3 or 4 years.
Yes, that's right. At that point, America was in chaos. You know, this is 1970 when I moved to Paris. Vietnam War. I just finished my studies, and I was so wrapped up in the politics of the time that I really wasn't doing the writing that I wanted to do. There I was, a young man determined to be a writer, but I felt that the only way I could test myself would be to leave my own country, live somewhere else for a while, and just concentrate on what I wanted to do. And it helped. It helped to get away.
The 70s, beginning in Paris, was a boiling city, no?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it was the post-1968 Paris.
Yes, yes.
So there was still a lot of ferment in the air. I guess in the years I was there, it did calm down. By the time I came home in '74, France was not the same place.
That was your poetry time, no?
Yes, yes. I was mostly writing poems, translating.
You translated, yeah.
I translated a lot, writing essays. And pretty much until around...
Not prose?
Very little, no. I was
Very
writing at times, but not very satisfied with the results. I never showed it to anybody. I kept doing those kinds of activities till around '78. And then after a long pause as a writer, I got stuck. I couldn't do anything anymore. For about a year and a half, I didn't write much of anything. I was broke, and I was a little desperate, uninspired, unable to go on. I thought...
You do have suicide fantasies in that moment?
Suicide? No.
No.
Everyone's thought about it, but I never had an active suicide fantasy. No. But little by little, I found the desire to write again. And it was prose. It wasn't poetry anymore. I was reborn as a new writer, as a prose writer.
So you emerged from crisis, being a prosist.
That's right. That's right. And I just kept doing that all the years since.
Which is the worst opinion about you or your work you heard or you read?
Oh, there have been so many. It's so many very hostile attacks against my writing. Yes. It would be hard to cite one. Maybe though I'm thinking there was an article in a French newspaper. I think it was the Figaro. I can't remember when it was, but this critic didn't like the book at all. And he said, this review should have a black border around it because what we are witnessing is the death of an artist.
The death of an artist?
Yeah, so I thought that was probably the most extreme thing that I've ever gotten. But what can you do about it?
I know a more subtle attack to you, but a friend of mine told me when he asked an American critic about you, she said, "Oh, he's so handsome." And he said she was attacking him.
Listen, luckily, books are going to outlive us, all right? It's all the stupid things people say and think fall by the wayside. If the books are real books, they'll live on.
Sometimes you say that you consider Borges as a limited writer. And you spoke well about Tomás Henry Martínez, for example.
Well, with Borges, I want to clarify that, because I really like Borges very, very much. By limited, I mean his range is very small. Range, but he's deep, you see. It's very profound and very original.
But small range.
Small range. He's not Tolstoy. He's not Dostoevsky. He's not James Joyce. These are big writers. Borges is he stakes out a small intellectual territory for himself and explores it with brilliance and tremendous panache and great humor also. He's one of the wittiest writers of the 20th century, I think. And it's hard to imagine 20th century literature without him. So I really want to make it clear that I'm a great admirer. I started reading him at...
Limited range.
Limited, but that's okay.
But not a limited writer.
That's what I mean. I mean, he's... well, let's think about Giacometti is a limited artist.
Yes.
He's doing these things all the time, but that doesn't mean he's not great and profound. But he's not Picasso or Matisse. It's just a different approach to how one goes about one's work. Yeah.
Very clear.
Yeah.
Is it true, Paul, that Don Quixote is your preferred book?
I think if I had to pick one, it would be that book.
Yes. It's not frequent in American writers to choose.
Maybe not. I don't think
Quixote.
I'm the only one who feels this way. It's because Cervantes was inventing something new, and you feel the thrill of discovery in this book, which is one of the first novels ever written, after all. And in it, he seems to explore all the possibilities of fiction. What it means to read books, what it means to become enchanted with books, what it means to write books. And he does it with such intense humor, compassion. I mean, it's a very funny book, but he never ridicules the people he's laughing at and with. So it's also a very compassionate and tender book. And I think it's extraordinary that a novel written 400 years ago can still touch us. It's, you know, it proves that it's a great book. You know, most of the literature from that time is forgotten. But there's Cervantes and Shakespeare, and we think about those characters. Don Quixote, Hamlet, Lear.
Yes.
These are real people for us. They are more important to us than people who have actually lived.
Some minutes ago, you told us that you began to write prose after a deep crisis. And Don Quixote was began to write, Cervantes began to write Don Quixote when he was in prison of Turks.
Yes.
And also he had already lost
his arm.
His
Yes,
arm.
yes.
Do you think literature or artistic creation is related with personal tragedies?
It can be.
It can be.
And then again, not necessarily. I think the beautiful thing about art of all kinds is there are no rules. There are no precedents. Everyone is a unique individual who's experiencing life for the first time and the only time they're ever going to experience it. And you know, you find your way to do it. Some people, I think, can only produce art under happy conditions. Other people are driven to it out of desperation. Everything is possible.
Tell me, what is the importance you give to literature in the world of today?
Well, as you probably know, 200 years ago, there wasn't much besides books for people to entertain themselves with. There was theater and books. Now we have radio, television, movies, video, internet, all kinds of things that are vying for attention. So I suppose the place of literature has diminished a great deal over the last 100 years or so. And yet, it's remarkable that in spite of all the competing media that can distract one's attention, people continue to read. It continues to be a passionate experience for millions of people around the world. And I think it's because a book is a unique place in the world. I really believe it's the only place where two strangers can meet.
Two strangers
can meet on absolutely intimate terms.
In a creative way.
In a creative way. The writer is giving his soul to the book, and the reader, an attentive reader, is reading with his or her soul. And it's a place where we discover, I believe, our common humanity more than anywhere else in the world. And therefore, in spite of all the predictions that people have made, you know, for years now, that the novel is dead, literature is dead, it won't be dead. It's never going to be dead because people need it.